Hello, PBA classmates and Dr. Herzog. I did my budget review over at Texarkana, and for those of you who are not familiar with the city of Texarkana, Texarkana covers two states. You have Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana, Arkansas. I did Texarkana, Texas because I'm from Texarkana, and I thought it'd be interesting to see what my hometown actually does with their money. And interesting to say, Texarkana, Arkansas actually got the GFOA award this year, and Texarkana, Texas did not. And that's kind of funny because usually the Texas side is always the better side. It's just a little rivalry that they have, Texarkana, Arkansas, and Texarkana, Texas. Um, but it's pretty interesting to see why Texarkana, Texas did not get the budget, get the award. And looking through their budget, it's pretty obvious why they didn't get the award. I interviewed Shirley Jaster, who is the assistant city manager, and Charles Bassett Jr., who is the chief financial officer. And they gave me a little insight on what was going on. They didn't really tell me too much more than what I already knew with the capital improvement projects and everything else. I kind of know what all projects are going on in the city, considering I'm from there. Uh, in the budget message, it talks about the capital improvement projects that are going on. Recently, a few years ago, Texarkana built Texas A&M Texarkana. It's a brand new university. It's growing, and they have some projects they're doing with expanding the campus and more dorms and more parking and more buildings and more programs. And it's really new. The campus is probably 3 years old. And in the budget message is kind of interesting, but it lacks quite a bit compared to other budgets. Uh, the revenues fell 11.97% this year, and with all the projects they have going on, you think it probably would go up with all the new businesses they've been bringing in, and there's a possibility it could go up next year. Um, the general property taxes makes up about 33.41%, and the taxes, other category like sales taxes and whatnot, they make up 47.32%, and add up together they make 80.73% of the general fund revenues for the city. Um, the city state we pretty much live and die on the city sales taxes, which is about a little over $14 million, and the property taxes are a little over $10 million. Um, Other than that, looking at the budget itself is pretty cut and dry. It's just a straight line item budget system. There's no really explanation of what's going on, um, or what mostly they spend their money on. They spend most of their money on the general government, such as you have judges and most of the other higher up people in the city, city manager, obviously, and the assistant city manager, and all the way down the line. And the next is the fire and emergency management. Then you have non-operating, and you have the public works that gets the last piece of the pie. Um, I would think that the police was a little lower on the list, which is pretty surprising because in Texarkana is ranked pretty high on one of the most dangerous cities in America. Not really surprising to me. The crime rate has been rising, and most of the crimes in the town, they are property crimes, and but the murder rate is rising. So I thought it was pretty surprising to see the police lower on the end. I think they'd be a little higher up priority wise, even though they did get an increase by about $230,000, which it should help out, but you think they get a little more because this kind of getting out of hand in Texarkana. And with the financial health, surprisingly to me, I thought revenues are growing up every year because it's a growing city. It's growing really fast, especially with the new campus coming in. There's going to be new students coming in, and families been moving in. It's right off the highway, so it's pretty convenient with people stopping through because everybody's always going to Arkansas or they're coming back through town. And the city's revenue is in a mixed state right now. They don't really know what the revenue is going to do next year, which is pretty weird. But I guess it's kind of understandable considering with all the new businesses coming in, they wouldn't really know what they may bring in. It may fall, it may jump, but it's been growing for the past few years, and it should jump up. Um, their debt is about $48.7 million, and according to the debt table, it should be taken care of by 2034. And it's kind of hard to see that because revenue is dropping, and they've cut a lot of things. I think they cut the garbage disposal by 5 million, but none of the other and the little everything else has been increasing about 2 or 3%. So I don't see how it would make up for that 5 million they cut out of garbage. So I don't know how they're gonna bring that back up. But Charles Bassett Jr. said the financial health of the city is pretty good right now, and they plan on keep on growing and bringing new franchises for next year. But my biggest thing was the budget format. When I was going through the budget, there was no explanations of why this was costing this or why they were spending the money here or there, and it was very interesting to see why they didn't. They don't have they never explained. They didn't explain anything in the budget. Um, there's no glossary. There's no technical terms. There's no explanation of what programs are going on in the city or anything. It's just saying this is what's happening in the city, and there's no explanation why. Um, it's just a straight line item budget. It is cut and bone dry. It just has numbers, and I guess that's good for some simplicity of things. But other than that, it's not informative at all. I was going through the budget, and I was like, okay, so why are they spending money here? It doesn't say. Excuse me. It doesn't say anything. And it doesn't have any goals for any of the programs or organizations. Like there's no goals for the police department. There's no goals for the fire department. The only thing, or the public department, there's only thing there are is what they did last year. They kind of praise them for what happened last year. They're not saying, okay, well we're going to step our game up and we're going to do this year. It's just accomplishments throughout the budget message. It's just like, well, we did this and that. It's just kind of praising them, and I think that's kind of weird. I think it should have some goals, and I think without any goals, you can't really grow near as fast. So I thought that was kind of weird how they just had that. Um, there's a lot of things they could do to try to get the award next year, but there's going to be some drastic changes on the format of their budget. They're going to need a glossary, explanations for why money is being spent here and there, so citizens can see why or what they need to do to make a change in their city. Which is very important because I hear a lot of people saying, "Man, I wish Texarkana's crime rate would go down," or "Man, I wish there was something we could do," and stuff like that. But there's nothing really they could do if they don't really know what's going on. They can just see what projects they're doing, but they can't see why there's money going here or why the revenues went down or anything. It didn't say why revenues went down. It didn't have anything. Um, it tells you the capital improvement projects, but that's it. It tells you like what cost this, but it's very dry. I was very surprised in Texarkana, Texas's budget. There was nothing that really caught my eye other than it was just bone dry. The one good thing I can say about the budget is it's pleasant looking at the charts. They had a lot of charts where you can have visual references, but there's no explanation why the money's going to where. Um, Another thing is going through the GOFA like criteria. Pretty much every question it asks, most of my criteria was not available because I say about 90% of the criteria was not available, which is very surprising. You think maybe at least 70% would be available, but no, it is nothing. Um, Pretty much the budget looks like a skeleton. It's just bones, and it needs a lot of meat and probably a few extra brains to make it actually look functionable. Um, I just thought it was really weird. I thought the budget would be way more organized than what it was. I could pretty much talk about the budget all day, or talk about how it's structured because it's pretty much nothing. And I was really surprised and I didn't know. Looking at Lufkin's budget and Center's budget, I'm like, oh, this is how a budget is supposed to look like. And then looking at Texarkana, it's kind of surprising. You're like, oh, wow, there's nothing there in the budget to even really talk about. Pretty much the only thing you can do to talk about Texarkana's budget is not talk very highly on it. It's very surprising um, on where they spend their money. It doesn't talk about that at all.